loses money, albeit these guys are getting such a deal. Daddy's not losing that much money. So take that, Mr. No Raise in 48 years.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornbluth, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on sportstalksc.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome into Sports Talk here on Sports Talk Media Network for what is a football Thursday night in South Carolina. Of course, last night was Big Thursday on a Wednesday over at Lexington. Had a great time with the Big Thursday folks at the Lexington Sertoma Club. Hope you enjoyed hearing the folks we brought to you, and we appreciate them having us out. We've now made the move to the east. We are in Conway, where tonight it is Fun Belt football on a rainy, maybe windy night here at Coastal at Brooks Stadium. Coastal Carolina and Troy. And the Chanticleers looking to bounce back from their first loss of the season, which was 8 days ago up at Appalachian State. And Troy, Troy is a team that has a great reputation, a great tradition. And, boy, that could really go a long way for them to pull off the upset tonight over the 17-point favorite, Chanticleers. Chris Bergen is alongside. Of course, Chris is with the Coastal broadcast crew. He'll be on the sideline tonight with his galoshes on. And his umbrella and his hoodie. No. And
Umbrellas are not allowed in Brooks Stadium.
Oh,
so
okay.
I have my trusty raincoat.
Nice.
That helped me survive 2 years ago at Georgia Southern when Coastal played in a tropical storm. I don't think we're going to have quite that kind of rain tonight. So, fortunately, it looks like, at least for the ball game, assuming it doesn't get delayed, we may get done before the big storm comes through about 10:30 or so tonight. So one message for Chanticleers fans who evidently have been calling the athletic department here this week about whether or not the game was going to be played. Matt Hogue, the athletics director here, encourages you, yes, they are playing tonight. This is not high school.
Right.
ESPN's here. It's a little more difficult to postpone a college football game. So come out. They'll be playing tonight. It ought to be a terrific game. Second best run offense in the Sun Belt, Phil, against the best run defense in the Sun Belt. And with the struggles that Coastal had last week against Appalachian State, Troy's defense is actually stingier against the ground game, only giving up 94 yards of contest. And last week, Coastal only rushed it for 55. And as we've talked throughout the season, if Jamie Chadwell cannot get the run game going, that offense sort of gets stuck in neutral because that run game sets up everything else they want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And you wonder about their mindset. Now, they've had 8 days to get over the loss. They were flying so high as an undefeated team, as a top 20 team, as a team knocking on the door of the top 10, and everybody was saying all these nice things. And I'm sure that's what he's told his players this week. Okay, you've had all the pats on the back. You've had everybody saying all this nice stuff. We're a cool team. We're a fun team. Now we've lost a game. Who are your friends? All of a sudden, you lose a lot of those friends when you lose a game. And now you got to go back and make new friends by starting a new winning streak.
Coastal this week, Phil, has reminded me of what Clemson has dealt with for much of this season. Teams and fan bases outside of Coastal could not wait to jump on the Chanticleers on message boards and social media and the whole 9 yards. They couldn't wait to say, see, we told you so. You weren't as good as you said you were. You were overrated. You're a fluke, the whole 9 yards. Same thing that anybody who has watched Clemson sort of dominate the last decade, they couldn't wait to jump on them after the Georgia loss and then, of course, the NC State loss and then last week against Pittsburgh. So it's funny how Coastal was such a great story last year, but it got to a point now, well, they're winning too much. So we've got to bring them back down to earth a little bit. And I think that loss to Appalachian State certainly gave them a pause for concern. Now, how good are we? And they're going to find out tonight because Troy may not be offensively anywhere close to as good as Coastal is, but defensively, this is probably the best defense that Coastal will see all season.
What do you like about the Troy offense?
Not much outside of Gunnar Watson, their quarterback. You look through some of their games, they're averaging 25 points a contest. I mean, that's in modern-day college football, that's not a whole lot, especially when you juxtapose that with Coastal averaging about 46 a game, including their struggles last week against Appalachian. So they have struggled. I think Watson has settled in a little bit at quarterback for them, and they're playing much better. They won 2 straight. So they come in here thinking, you know what, we pull off this win. Then we get to face Jake Bentley in South Alabama next week. Yeah, that's right, Gamecock fans. That's where Jake Bentley has finally landed after going out to Utah. He is now at South Alabama and actually leads the Sun Belt in passing.
As they go to Atlanta 1-1. Of course, the Braves without Charlie Morton now for the rest of the series impacts them some, though when you look at last night, Freed gave them, even though he had that big inning where he gave up a lot of runs, he did eat up some innings for them and save the back end of the bullpen. So the big part of the bullpen at the very end got a rest last night, a rest today. So the Braves will have the advantage of having those great relievers rested and ready to go for all 3 games if necessary in Atlanta. That's a bonus for the Braves.
I thought Brian Snitker did a nice job last night because, Phil, I'm watching the game last evening, and I was thinking, get him out. Right now, Freed's throwing batting practice, but he did settle in enough to eat up a few innings. Ultimately, in a loss, it was sort of take one for the team last night. But I think to answer your initial question, if you're the Braves, you feel much, much better about yourself going back home where you've yet to lose in the postseason. You're 1-1, so you did what you had to do. You could not get swept in Houston. You had to get one of the 2 games. They did that. Normally, the team that wins game 1 has a much higher odds and opportunity to win a best-of-7 series. So I think the Braves are sitting in great position. The concern, obviously, is the loss of Charlie Morton and how do they fill his spot in the rotation.
All right, and, of course, Clemson's getting ready to take on Florida State. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. We'll have Chalk Talk with Chuck Reedy and Ellis Johnson. Can't wait to hear what they have to say about this game tonight. You know, Chuck in particular is really dialed into Coastal Carolina. He and Jamie Chadwell, I think, are pretty close. Maybe they talk some, and he'll have a good feel for tonight's ball game. And
I hate I'm not going to be able to hear them carve up what they saw last week, though, between the Gamecocks at Texas A&M and Pittsburgh and Clemson.
You're welcome to tune into our affiliate at the beach.
Yes, sir.
100.3 FM.
Absolutely.
Well, you're competing here because you're on a competitor.
That is true.
In the beach area. Yeah,
that is true. But, they do such a good job of not sort of sugarcoating things.
Yeah.
My guess is coming off what we saw last weekend, there would not be much sugar rained on in Columbia nor at Clemson.
I don't see how you can. Speaking of rain, though, I'm seeing some very dark clouds now move in overhead. It's going to monsoon out there on you, my man.
The funny part is
I'll keep your spot in the press box dry, though you don't have a spot in the press box.
the funny part is what Phil has not told you. We're actually broadcasting from the press box to the baseball stadium.
Right.
If you're familiar with Coastal Carolina athletics, baseball sits adjacent to football. But Phil is still going to have to, at some point in time, leave the press box here, walk across the parking lot, and get into football.
No. I've arranged for an Uber to meet me at the front door.
That's what happens when you're Phil Cornbrook.
And drive me the 50 feet over to
Gate one
of the football stadium. I'll be fine. I've got my weather gear with me. I'm prepared. I'm a veteran. I've been in rain before. I believe in playing in rain. Too many people get scared when it rains. As long as it's not lightning, I don't think this has any sort of heavy weather, lightning or anything like that in it.
The worst part appears to be later on tonight. The back half of this, I guess, cold front that is pushing through because temperatures here along the Grand Strand tomorrow, the high's supposed to be only in the 60s. So, I mean, it's going to feel like fall this weekend. And I think once the back end of this storm pushes through, we should be fine. But that's the concern about 10:30. What you hope is that Coastal Carolina, if you're a Chanticleers fan, can get out to a comfortable lead and run the football and run the clock. And this game ends quickly because the last thing anybody wants to do, especially the Troy folks, I was speaking with their radio play-by-play guy. He says they are scheduled to be back home by 3 o'clock Central Time tomorrow morning. They have no interest in staying here much longer than necessary to play this game tonight.
And they have a charter, obviously.
They do.
They have a charter.
The glamour life of Division I athletics that no one ever sees.
That's nice.
That's nice. At 3, 4 o'clock in the morning on a school night.
All right, our phone number, 888-898-252. Well, it's nice they have a charter, but you're right. I get what you're saying. It's tough, and then they got to go to class tomorrow, unless they give them the
Allegedly.
day off. Yeah. All right, our phone number, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number here on Sports Talk. If you want to give us a ring up and share some thoughts on things we've talked about this week and what you think is going to happen this weekend. And Clemson and Florida State, the Tigers are 10-point favorites going into this one, but a lot to be concerned about, of course, if you are a Clemson fan. And this is by no means one of those games that you can put in the win column from the outset like you have so many times in the past, the way Clemson's been playing, creating no points on offense. And even the defense, again, I have to look at a couple of things defensively that you should be concerned about over the last 3 games, even though they kept the scoring low. I mean, they've done a great job of that, but when they needed the defense to come up with a stop, they didn't really do it. I mean, Boston College blew it themselves with the fumble by the quarterback with a bad snap when they were apparently going to go in for the winning score. And then you had in the Syracuse game, they allowed a long drive to result in a makeable field goal that he missed. Very fortunate. And, of course, for over 8 minutes at the end of the Pitt game, they couldn't get the ball back to give their offense a chance. So what I'm saying here is while the offense has gotten the bulk of the criticism and deserves, there's some criticism to go towards that defense as well because it's not finishing the way Clemson defenses are used to finishing.
And they're going to have their hands full against Jordan Travis, who has settled in as a Florida State quarterback. They, went early in the season. Mackenzie Milton, the transfer, was in there. Great story that he could walk, much less play college football. But they appear to have settled in on Travis, and they've won 3 in a row. I saw this stat earlier. We actually mentioned it for our college football preview that the high school broadcast will air tomorrow night. But Florida State's the first team in ACC football history to lose their first 4 and then win their next 3. It's an amazing stat. They have turned it around. And normally when Clemson and Florida State get together, it has huge national implications. Doesn't have huge national implications, but this is an opportunity for Mike Norvell to get a signature win that he has not had thus far at FSU, and maybe get some of the vultures off his back.
Oh, absolutely. If he wins this game, it's a whole new day at Florida State. A whole new day at Florida State. You've won 4 in a row. You've beaten Clemson up there, and you've done it on the day they're honoring Bobby Bowden. A lot of things going into this particular game. You're right. It's not the national must-see TV, but for those around here who follow Clemson football and keep up with it on a daily basis, it's a very important ball game and well worth watching because of the intrigue of what Clemson team is going to trot out there. And that's kind of where we are with Clemson right now. They keep waiting. They keep waiting for the offense to show up and for Uiagalelei to be that guy and for the offense to put it all together and sustain drives and complete drives and score in the red zone touchdowns, not field goals. It hasn't happened yet, and you keep thinking, okay, this is going to be the week. This is not a really bad Florida State team. I know they were the butt of a lot of jokes the first month of the season, and they deserved it. But they found themselves. They've got some good defensive players. You mentioned the quarterback. They've got an excellent running back who's a transfer. This is a team that has really helped itself with the transfer portal over the last couple of years.
It hurt, and their reputation was obviously stung by losing to the Gamecocks earlier in the season. Not the USC Gamecocks. They lost to the Jacksonville State Gamecocks, an FCS program, and I think that threw everybody for a loop. Mike Norvell's never going to get it turned around. But you have to question yourself if you're Dabo Swinney, which Florida State team am I getting this weekend? Am I getting the one that beat North Carolina and looked really good in doing so, or am I getting the one that lost to Jacksonville State? That's got to keep you up late at night here the past couple of days.
And it just shows, too, and we don't know what Norvell's going to do, though. I thought he was an excellent coach coming out of Memphis.
Agreed.
I mean, he made Memphis into a power there for a couple of years and produced some really good NFL players. Speed, had a lot of speed on that Memphis team. Patience. You got to give them patience. And so many people right now, like at South Carolina, there's just no patience with people. Of course, the Twitter tweets are never going to have any patience for anything because they think they got the answer for everything. And you got to let a coach, you got to let a staff mature, build, and develop. It's hard to take that medicine, I know, in those opening years, a year, maybe 2 years. But if you got the right guy and he's got the right plans and he's got the right people around him, if that's the case, you give him a chance. And in South Carolina's case, look, again, they're 2 wins away from bowl eligibility. And I think every Gamecock fan should sign off on that. It doesn't matter where the 2 come from. Yeah, you'd love to, if you had your druthers, you'd probably love it to be Florida and Clemson.
Yeah.
If you could beat Florida and Clemson, you take it and have a good day. But you just got to get 2. But if they get 2 and get to a bowl game, that's pretty amazing for this team, considering the holes in that roster of just SEC level talent. Huge, mammoth holes in that roster. All right, let's hit a break here on Sports Talk. If you want to join us, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. Hey, did you know that since 2002, more than $572 million in lottery proceeds have been used to fund Palmetto Fellow scholarships for the state's college-bound students? You can learn more about the South Carolina Education Lottery's impact at seeducation.lottery.com/education wins. You know, I know, Chris knows, we all know, playing for fun is a win for education. We're back in a moment from Coastal.
We've got Major Billy Downer with us here from the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer, hunting season is upon us. How do we stay safe in a field?
There are 3 rules that every hunter should follow when they're hunting with a firearm. Number 1, treat every firearm due to respect a loaded gun. If you treat your firearm as if it's loaded, you'll always, number 2, keep that muzzle pointed in a safe direction. And number 3, when you decide to pull the trigger, make sure of your target, identify it, and know what's beyond it in case you miss.
And remember, life's better outdoors. Visit dnr.sc.gov for more.
There was just a lack of Black women, business owners, entrepreneurs, creatives. Growing up, I didn't see that. I figured out that I wanted to be a photographer for women of color. I found my niche and I'm sticking to it.
Each year, the South Carolina Education Lottery raises millions of dollars for scholarships and grants that help students prepare for their dream career, just like Kristen. Your passion is our purpose.
COVID-19 booster shots are now available for those 65 and older, long-term care residents, and those 18 and older with underlying medical conditions or at high risk. See if you're eligible at scdhec.gov/COVID-19 booster. Keep fighting the spread. Wear your face mask. Stay 6 feet apart. And get vaccinated. Join us and fight the spread. Visit scdhec.gov/vaxfax.
All right, we're back on Sports Talk. We're live at Coastal Carolina, where it's getting darker, not just because night's moving in. It's got some rain clouds, more heavy rain clouds overhead. I'm not trying to
You're
discourage
determined to
you.
give me pneumonia tonight.
No, but come on out. Those of you listening to us in the Conway, Myrtle Beach, Grand Strand area, Come on out. There'll be plenty of room for you,
Oh,
I'm sure.
absolutely.
Huh? This is really going to hurt the game. On a beautiful night, what kind of crowd were they expecting?
For the way Coastal has played the last year and a half, they would get somewhere in the neighborhood of 12, 13,000, I would think, in there. And the student section would be full. Of course, there's nothing better than college football for a student than Thursday night football because you've got the built-in excuse not to have to go to class on Friday morning.
Yeah.
Because, well, I'm going out and support my team. They needed me in full throat. And the only way I can get into full throat is to start getting ready at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Sure, absolutely. You had to get in the right frame of mind to do
So
that.
to speak.
But, this goes to show you exactly where the university presidents, and I put them all in a group here that allow this to happen. I mean, they sell their soul to television, and, they don't care if their kids – of course, they probably figure it's a Thursday night. If the kids aren't at a football game, they're going to be out at bars and hanging out anyway.
Sure.
So why not give them a football game to have a good time? But, look, the football game 7:30, it's going to be over 10:30. You're home and back in bed by midnight. Plenty of time to get sleep and get up for class the next day.
I was actually riding down in the elevator on the football operations building here adjacent to where we are earlier this afternoon with one of the assistant coaches for Coastal, and who is bemoaning the fact that this is their third straight midweek game. He said not only does it throw your team out of routine, they played a Thursday, they go back, play Wednesday last week, come back here, play Thursday. They've already played another Thursday game to open this season. They played a Friday game. What hurts him, and I didn't even think about this until he said it, is recruiting.
Yeah.
It's hard for them to bring high school players. They can't bring a high school kid into town tonight, especially if he's out of state, because they've got a football game tomorrow night. So he actually was hoping that the commissioner, Keith Gill of the Sun Belt, who got to get some credit for expanding the league with the Old Dominion announcement yesterday and Southern Miss last week. But nonetheless, they've got to figure out a thing where you don't play maybe more than 2 midweek games, whoever your program is, because I'm just not sure it's fair to Coastal to have 5 midweek games the way they have.
Of course, Coastal has been the primo team in the league the last couple of years.
Sure.
They want to showcase them
no doubt.
on national television.
I understand why they're doing it.
There's a trade-off. Let's go to the phones, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. We go to Vern. We're so lucky that Vern knows the lucky number to Sports Talk. Vern in Bishopville. Good evening, Vern. I hope you're doing well. I hope your day's been a good one. You're in a happy mood. Happy.
Thank you, buddy. It's been a good one. How y'all Clifford guys doing?
We're doing just dandy. How you Gamecocks doing?
That's good. Don't get drowned out there. You close to the beach, right?
That would be Chris. Chris will be on the sideline standing in the rain. I hope you don't get electrocuted with all your gear.
Well, anyway, yeah. Well, I wish y'all the best in the rain. But anyway, I'm calling to talk about Jason Brown for the University of South Carolina football team. They're finally putting a quarterback in there now and stuff. I sure hope they have DeCarrion Johnson backing him up.
Now, he's a wide receiver. DeCarrion's a wide receiver.
No. That's the label they're putting on him. He's a quarterback. He was quarterbacking ever since his mama had him and stuff like that, But we ain't going to get into that part, because that's a personal thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, Jason Brown and stuff, you saying they was playing junk football in the fourth quarter. Shane Beamer put him in there so they can score. He didn't want to go back home with a goose egg. He didn't want to go back with 44 to nothing. That's why he was put in.
Yeah. And you know what? Again, except for the 2 interceptions, I thought he ran around pretty well and held his composure and threw some good balls. I mean, he put the ball up in danger, obviously, and that's why he had 2 picks.
No, sir. I have to disagree with you 135%.
Okay.
0.2.
Okay.
He didn't put it in danger. He did what anybody would do. Get out of that pass rush and put the ball in the air and try to get a scope.
Yeah, and it was intercepted twice.
My grandson would have done.
It was intercepted twice.
Yeah. You should have intercepted
That's
more
not
than
putting
that,
the ball in danger. Okay, that's a new definition for not putting the ball in danger is being intercepted twice. I got it.
No, sir. No, sir. I seen a guy in the pros and stuff. They get millions and millions of dollars, and they throw you one game. They might throw 6 interceptions. No, I have to disagree with you on that, sir.
Okay.
Let's get a brother what he called for. Let's give him a cookie. You know what I'm saying? Let's give him a cookie.
Well,
if Carolina want to win a game, another game, they better get Brown in it.
If he starts against Florida, why not? Because Nolan might not be ready to go because of the knee. He might not be ready to go. Give him a shot. Yeah, give him a shot.
That's right. let's keep the skin and stuff and things like that, out of it. Let's just let a man play football. If he polka dot, put him in there.
Well, nobody said that except for you. Nobody even touched that except for you. No, he's just a quarterback.
Yeah,
he's just another game. He's just another Gamecock quarterback, Vern. It's got nothing to do with anything else.
Exactly. That's what I was saying.
Yeah. All right, we got to go. I hope you have a good night, a pleasant night, a restful night, and don't put any footballs up in danger. Be back.
Weekdays at noon right here on The Point. Take time for a visit to PragerU. We'll tackle today's issues, interview intriguing newsmakers, do some teaching and some learning together on 100.7 The Point and makethepointradio.com.
Hey, Tiger fans, it's not too late to purchase your Clemson football tickets. Lock in your seat for one of our remaining home games by visiting clemsontigers.com/football tickets. That's your one-stop shop for tickets, schedule, and game day designations. Be sure and act now as tickets are going fast. So come back home to Clemson, and we'll see you in Death Valley cheering on our Tigers. That's clemsontigers.com/football tickets.
Every Friday morning at 9 a.m. on The Point, join me, Chad Jordan, and my co-host Larry Jordan for the Palmetto Real Estate Pros. We'll help you out whether you're looking to buy, sell, or just learn all things real estate every Friday right here at 100.7 The Point.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Senate Democrats want to again try letting millions of immigrants stay temporarily in the U.S. as part of President Biden's economic plan. People familiar with the effort say Democrats want to let migrants in the U.S. before 2011 apply for a temporary permit, letting them work in this country for 5 years and then renew it once. The proposal needs a sign-off from the Senate parliamentarian who enforces the chamber's rules of what is allowed in certain bills. The renewed focus on immigration comes as President Biden met with House Democrats earlier today and sought support for a framework of his 10-year, $1.75 trillion plan. On Wall Street, the Dow by 239 points, the Nasdaq rose 212, the S&P advanced 44. More details at srnnews.com.
This is Howard Duvall, an at-large member of Columbia City Council. In the election to choose Columbia's next mayor, I'm asking you to vote for Tamika Isaac Devine. I'm proud to endorse Tamika because she is running for mayor for all the right reasons. Tamika cares about our city. She has a passion to help people, and Tamika is the only candidate I trust to be our next mayor. This has been Councilman Howard Duvall asking you to vote for Tamika Isaac Devine in the election for mayor on November the 2nd.
Paid for by Devine for mayor.
The AARP Fraud Watch Network can help you keep yourself and your family safe. To learn more, visit aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork for news and tips on how to spot common scams and to learn about and report scams in your area.
People today, they could spend half their lives over 50. That's a lot of living. So it helps to have someone in your corner, right here in your community. That someone is AARP. Join us for free, fun, and informative virtual events like cooking demos, exercise classes, financial workshops, and more. It's never been easier to connect with your community. The younger you are, the more you need AARP. Learn more at aarp.org/near-you.
Kevin Cohen here with Tim Hanbury from Medicare Blueprint. So, Tim, it is open enrollment now for Medicare. How does that impact our listeners at the Point?
Well, Kevin, now's the time for you to review your Medicare Advantage plan because they can and do change each year. You'll need to make sure that your prescriptions are still covered and at what cost. So what should you do? First, give us a call. We'll ask you a few questions. We'll find out what your prescriptions are and what doctors you see. Then we'll find the best plan for you. We'll do all the work for you. We'll even make sure to show you all the additional benefits you're entitled to.
Yeah, listen, I called Tim and his team, and it's just like he says. We've cut our healthcare costs considerably. So don't waste time. Don't waste this opportunity during open enrollment. Give Tim a call at Medicare Blueprint, 803-708-7405, or find him online at MedicareBlueprint.com. That's 708-7405 or MedicareBlueprint.com.
Hi, this is Michelle Arnold, your host for Travel Buzz, every Monday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on 100.7 The Point. We're here to make your travel dreams a reality. That's Travel Buzz every Monday morning at 9 on The Point.
Is that crack in your windshield or your house bothering you?
Have you been meaning to have it replaced but just can't find the time?
Call Absolute Glass, voted Lexington's best glass shop for 12 years in a row.
We repair and replace glass on all makes and models.
We're the only local high-end auto glass specialist in the Midlands, and we'll come to you to make the process quick and easy.
With new technologies and vehicles, we can recalibrate your vehicle back to new.
Visit AbsoluteGlassInc.com to learn more about our auto, home, and business glass services. Just remember, if you can see through it, we can do it.
Okay, we've cut Chris loose so he can head over to the sideline for the Coastal Carolina broadcast and get drenched tonight here in Conway. We are at Coastal Carolina. It's a big Thursday football night here on Sports Talk across the state of South Carolina as the nationally ranked Chanticleers take on Troy. Coastal trying to hang in there in the national rankings. They took a pretty big drop after that loss to Appalachian State last week, and they're going to try and, of course, straighten things out and get back in the right direction with a win tonight over Troy. 17-point favorites are the Chants, who are 6-1, 2-1 in Sunbelt action. Troy comes in 4-3 and 2-1. So this game also, of course, has implications in the standings for the Sun Belt. It is now time for another exciting edition of Chalk Talk here on Sports Talk. We welcome in two of the greatest coaches to ever put on a headset in the state of South Carolina. We welcome Coach Chuck Reedy and Coach Ellis Johnson. Coach Reedy, good to have you with us. I'm assuming you're back here in the motherland?
We are. We're back. We'll be gone next Thursday, though. We'll address that later.
Any trouble getting back across the border? Everything go okay?
No, man, everything was great. No problem.
You got past the drug dogs and everything like that, huh?
Oh, yeah, we made it.
Good. Coach Johnson, I know your life's not as exciting as Coach Reedy's, but it's good to have you with us nonetheless.
I'm just glad I didn't have to make that trip across the Rio Grande. So glad to be here.
Good to have you. I want to start with you, Ellis, because I know you watched Clemson and Pittsburgh, and there was a play there when Pittsburgh scored its second touchdown. Explain to me, maybe there was real good logic that Brent Venables was using here, but you recall on that touchdown pass, Pittsburgh was able to match up a receiver on a Clemson freshman linebacker. The television crew called him a safety, but he's a linebacker, Barrett Carter. And the receiver, quickly beat him off the line, quickly got past him, and was wide open for the touchdown catch. Was that just a mistake in the matchup? Did Clemson mean to have him there? What did you take away from that?
It really could be, and not knowing the call, not knowing the plan, not knowing all the system, there's no way for me to say what happened. There are times in the game, and maybe you can do it a little bit better than NFL. There are times in the game when you make a call, you don't know what the offense is going to line up in. And if they have certain formations you're preparing for all week, you maybe got to check off where you swap with another guy and these kind of things. But things will happen in the course of a game that you've not seen before. And if that's that guy's rule to go out and cover, he's got to go do it. There's no other way to do it. Now, you can have all kind of checks and everything else in the plan, but it may not have been set up for that. I did not see the play. I saw a lot of the game. I went down to the Citadel game, and it was not good. So I spent a lot of time watching big screen TV up there. But I saw a lot of the game, and except for that, in addition to that play, I saw it early. I thought Clemson was playing pretty well, and I came back and watched a lot of it late, and they just thoroughly got beat, and and about every phase. So I don't think that one play is something you can look at and say, well, that was a terrible mistake. Those things do happen.
True. What about their problem getting Pittsburgh off the field on the last drive where they kept the ball for, 8 minutes or so, and Clemson never got the ball back, and there's Pittsburgh taking a knee when Clemson needed the ball back to have a chance to rally. I mean, is Clemson's defense, I know they've suffered, of course, some significant injuries, but everybody talks about the offense and is dumping on the offense, and well, they should. The defense, though they haven't given up a lot of points, In 3 straight games, they haven't gotten the opponent off the field late when they needed to, and they were lucky to win 2 of those ball games with Boston College having the fumble and Syracuse missing the field goal. My point is the defense allowed those opponents to go down the field at critical times at the end of the game.
Well, I think there are a few things involved, and some of it does go back to the offense. Clemson's defense over the years that Brett's been there have done a heck of a job of 3 and outs. They've gotten themselves off the field real quick, give the ball back to the offense, and the offense put up points, and then they play downhill the rest of the game. It's not happening now. A little bit personnel-wise and system and approach, they're not built for a grinding attack, like a 2-minute attack or a 1 minute. We just call it a 1-minute attack where somebody's not trying to score, he's trying to kill the time. And I don't know if they're really built for that, and especially they lost the 2 tackles earlier, and I'm not sure they're all back, but they don't have a real stout lineup like they did when they were predicted coming in the season. And the second thing is they were probably just worn, you know what, out, okay? They've been playing under duress the whole time, and that's pretty much been the season. They're going to have to get some offensive continuity and the defense have some time to rest, or they're not going to be able to play to their defense as a strength because they're going to be gassed by the time the fourth quarter gets there.
All right, Chuck, the offensive side for Clemson, they pulled Uiagalelei after the shovel pass was intercepted, returned for a touchdown. They put Pumachan in there for a couple of series, went back to Uiagalelei, probably going to start Uiagalelei against Florida State. But you think he's on a short leash now that they made that move to Pumachan in the Pitt game?
Well, I think so. I mean, obviously he's the guy. You know, they think he's the better quarterback. I mean, I don't think they're going to make a change unless they just absolutely have to. But he's. We're in game 8, going into game 8. The guy's just not very good. I mean, he just has not been a very good player this year. They haven't been a very good offense at all. I mean, there's not an area, in their offense where you could say they're, have played well. I mean, they just haven't played well. And, I just don't think they're very good. And Uiagalelei or whatever you call him, and you're pretty good to be able to pronounce both those guys' names, but, he's the best they've got. And, obviously the guy came out of high school, #1 guy in the country, and they think he's going to be another great quarterback, and he's just not. And, he's got a long way to go.
But is the potential there? For example, I mean, look, you had Shipley drop a sure touchdown pass. You had other receivers dropping passes. You had the tight end dropping a sure catch would have been a nice game for him. I mean, yeah, I know that he's thrown some bad balls, made some mistakes. You mentioned he's not getting a lot of help. So can you see the future? Can you project him next year in 22 with better help around him and healthy receivers as being a much better quarterback? Obviously they're going to try and stick with him, don't you think?
Oh yeah, well, if you read behind the scenes, I think Klubnik might be the guy next year. If he doesn't start playing better, but no, the way he played last year in those 2 games, with good people all around him, obviously he looked very impressive, and everybody thought coming into the year, I mean, the guy's Heisman Trophy leading candidate. But a lot of things that we talked about earlier in the year, the guy has no mobility. That's one thing, and that hurts him. I mean, he can run if he just a straight line, but he's not mobile, and therefore he gets sacked a lot. It doesn't. The offensive line's not very good, and like I said, receiving core has been atrocious. Really, I mean, Nagata makes some plays. Justin Ross every now and then, but he's not near the guy that he was 2 years ago. And we'll go back to what I've said all year. They don't have a slot receiver, and they're trying to play Ross there, and they don't win the 50-50 balls like they used to. I mean, it's just it's a mess. And the guy now, his mechanics I think have gotten worse. His footwork is not very good, and so he's throwing off balance. He's trying to aim the ball, all those things. sure, the guy has talent. I mean, he can throw the heck out of the football, but there's a lot more to being a quarterback. Just being able to throw the ball, throw it hard or whatever, and he doesn't have any touch. So that's another problem. I mean, he has a real hard time with the short balls. I mean, so all of those things, and as you said, yeah, Shipley, if he makes that catch, they're up 14-0, probably a different ball game. But that's the story of their season. What if? And they just don't look like they're a very well coached football team. They have penalties, they have bad snaps, they have missed assignments. The receivers are terrible blockers. I mean, used to they could run the little screens out there and throw the ball out there and make yardage. They can't do that anymore because the guys can't block on the perimeter. So it's just a mess. I mean, and there's no other way to put it. Now, the truth of the matter is they got 5 games left. They got more talent than anybody they left on their schedule. And if they can get their act together, they'll win 5 and they'll be 9-3 and go to a nice bowl game. And everybody will feel good about it at the end of the year if that be the case. But whether or not they can get it together, they've had more talent than anybody they played up to this point, except for maybe Georgia, and they're 4-3. So just because they've got better talent doesn't mean they're going to, certainly doesn't mean they're going to win the way they've been playing.
It's Chalk Talk with Chuck Reedy and Ellis Johnson. Let's shift gears to South Carolina. Not much to say, Ellis, about the overall performance out there at Texas A&M. I mean, the Gamecocks hung in there for about 12 minutes. It was a 7-0 ball game, and they had the ball at the Texas A&M 41-yard line, 3rd and 12. They run a dive up the middle. I don't know if the quarterback missed an RPO or it was a called run up the middle that, got nowhere. They punted, and then A&M went down and scored, and that opened up the floodgates against them. Did you see any give up in that team as that game went on? What did you see from an attitude standpoint? Could you tell anything from where you were watching?
Yeah, I didn't really feel like they gave in. I saw frustration. Sometimes when you're getting beat that bad, and it's not a bunch of just crazy miscues or something, they physically get beat. And you can't fool a player. I mean, they know too. And that's hard for them to work through. But I sort of go the other way. I really think Shane's done as good a job as any head coach could do in keeping a bunch of kids positive and playing hard and, playing through 4 quarters. I don't think that was the issue at all. I think at some point in time now, when you're getting beat as bad as they were getting beat, it's pretty much, in your mind that you're out there playing, you're going to fight because you got some character and you got some pride. But the guy's kicking your butt, okay, individually, and then they're getting beat physically, scheme-wise, and plays and everything else. So, no, I don't really think there's any kind of problem with that. I think he's done an amazing job keeping that locker room together and keeping those kids fighting and coming back each week to work hard. Now, we'll look in the future. They got the open date. We'll look in the future. If they come out with the same energy and fight, then you'll know the answer to that question. But I just don't think that's the problem right now. I just think they don't have a quarterback, and they've got some other deficiencies on the depth chart, and they're just not good enough to play with the 3 or 4 best teams in the conference. They can't play 4 quarters with.
Yeah, Texas A&M, I think, is one of the best teams right now going in the country. They got those 2 losses inexplicably that they had earlier in the year, and they'll look back at those and say, how did we mess up what could have been a really good season for them, Chuck? That looks like a real good ball club, even with the backup quarterback in there, because they got speed at running back, they got a great receiver, they got a big physical defense. And now South Carolina may have to go with Jerron Brown against Florida if Nolan is not able to go coming off the knee surgery he had this week, the scope or whatever you want to call it. Though they say he'll be back at practice and able to go, and they expect him to be available for Florida. But what'd you see? Did you watch it long enough to see Jerron Brown run around out there in the 4th quarter and throw the ball around?
No, I'll be honest with you. I didn't make it. I made it to 41-0, and you got to wonder, as bad as the quarterback play has been, if Brown, if they hadn't given him a chance up to this point, you got to wonder. I mean, there's got to be a problem. there must be something wrong, or certainly the guy would have had an opportunity to play, before now, because we knew. We said last week, Nolan was going to be a sitting duck against A&M. I mean, they weren't going to play. They weren't going to rush three like Vanderbilt did, and he has no mobility. And if they were smart, they just play Brown. I mean, try something different. If I, which I'm not, and probably the reason I'm not coaching, but if it were me, I'd probably play three of them running backs and run the damn wishbone. Do something different. Because I guarantee you we could get more than 15 yards in the first half or whatever, 9, whatever they had, by running some kind of option or doing something. Because what they've done all year is absolutely, it's not very good. I mean, and I keep hearing about all these. They have miscommunication and all that. You know what that tells me? It's too damn complicated. And excuse my language. But
you're a little fired up. You're a little fired up.
Well, I mean, to watch that crap, it's frustrating. And I know this. You can be the smartest coach in the world, and they may be smart, okay, but what you know is not important. It's what your players know, and what they have the ability to execute is what matters. And they go out there week after week, and every week it seems like it's something different. I mean, and I don't know. I mean, I'd try something different. I know that something different than what they've been doing.
When you were head coach at Baylor, and I don't remember your staff and how things went with your staff and all that, but I mean, look, Marcus Satterfield's catching a lot of heat from Gamecock fans on Twitter and analysts and all this sort of stuff. They just don't see anything from his offense. And I mean, I don't know. Look, I'm an outsider watching it. I listen to his press conferences. He seems like a pretty sharp guy. Seems like a nice enough guy. Seems like a guy that Shane Beamer really likes and wants to work with. But as a head coach, how do you deal with the situation in your first year where you've got an offense that has just been terrible from the beginning, and can you as a head coach afford to ride with that guy and maybe be taken down by him, or do you have to make a quick move? How do you handle it?
No, you have to ride with him for the year. I mean, you can't make a change. I mean, Shane's got he's got time. I would suspect unless something changes that at the end of this year, there'll be a lot of pressure, to make a change. But that's Shane's got to make that decision. I mean, and if he believes in the guy, then he's got to stick with him. I mean, but I would imagine there's going to be a lot of pressure, and this, Phil. I think South Carolina was in a bind last year with all the money they had to pay Muschamp, and they didn't give him the kind of budget for coaches that he needs to compete in the SEC. I mean, I don't know what their assistant coach's budget is compared to Alabama and Georgia or whatever, but I bet it's much smaller. And, if they're going to have a chance to compete, two things. Their recruiting budget is one of the smallest in the league. That has to be, increased, and they've got to be able to pay coaches, whatever they have to pay to get the kind of people that you need to be good in the SEC, and that means you got to pay big money.
Yeah, I mean, Satterfield's making $900,000 a year.
Well,
is that is that peanuts, Ellis?
I would imagine he's in the bottom third or whatever, for offensive coordinators. I don't know. When I was my last year at Clemson, I made $56,000, and so I don't know anything about that $900,000. I don't understand it. But I don't know. I mean, I just think they haven't. I just don't believe they still have committed themselves to spending the kind of money they need to spend. And anyway, that's you compare what they're spending on coaches and what Clemson's spending, and then that tells you a lot of where the priorities are.
All right, watch this, everybody. But Ellis, the women's basketball coach, just signed a new contract at over like $2 million plus a year.
Well, there are two Power 5 schools right now that pay the football coach less than the girls basketball coach, and that's UConn and South Carolina. You look at the results. Now, I'm gonna tell you something right now. I'm a Dawn Staley fan. Okay,
I know.
I think she's one of the best coaches ever walked in the state of South Carolina. What we're saying is, and I don't want to say Chuck saying anything, but what I hear is, and what I see is, it's not a wise business decision. If you're in the southeastern United States and you're in the SEC, there's only one program that generates income, and this men's football. Okay, basketball does pretty good if they get in and run the table on the tournaments because they get a bunch of big time money. But the revenue is not going to come back from where they're putting their money, and that is not a wise business decision. That has nothing to do with her as a coach.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I think she's one of the best coaches ever coached any sport, any time in state of South Carolina. I'd try to, if I had a head job tomorrow, I'd probably interview her to see if she wants to coach defensive backs. I think she could probably teach them as well as anybody. But I'm talking about the business side of it. And there's some things that I didn't know that I saw, like Chuck was talking about. Something like 42% of the budget Clemson pushes back into football. And what that does is you feed the baby, it brings the money back home. So I don't understand it, but I don't think that's why they're not winning, okay? They're not winning because there's not a quarterback within 50 miles of Columbia. And we knew that 6 months ago.
Guys, as always, it's enlightening to have you on with us. And I hope you have a great weekend. Where are you going next week, Chuck? You didn't run this by me, but where are you going?
Well, we're going to be going to Europe for 2 weeks. So I don't know if they have cell service over there. Cell phone service.
Hey, we found you in Mexico. We'll find you in Yugoslavia, wherever you end up over there. We'll find you. You just
I'll talk to you this week, huh?
You just have the phone, fully charged, and we'll find you.
Yeah, y'all track me down in Mexico. I
don't
know what the time zone difference is going to be.
That's all right. As long as you're awake, that's fine with us. 6 to 8 Eastern time. I'm not. We'll figure that out. Ellis, by the way, I was wrong. Let me back up. By the end of her contract, it'll be $3.5 million to Dawn. I'm going to leave you with that note. I was underselling. By the end of the contract in 2028, if we're all here, $3.5 million. Total. So
does that change anything I said?
No. I'm just.
Does that change anything I said?
No,
it's not what they're doing for Dawn. It's what they're not doing in other areas. I mean, they need to treat her really well. Okay, but I don't know. I mean, I couldn't do the job if they hired me to do it. But I know one thing: they ain't feeding the baby that brings home the money. Chuck, if you're gonna build a Whataburger over there, I'll go back with you the next time. Hey, and I like it when you travel because that dude you got running the place down there, he's giving away free hamburgers when you
go. Best hamburgers in Charleston right there, ladies and gentlemen. Come back, Shaq. How about that for a free plug?
There you go, man. I appreciate it.
Y'all have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you. Hopefully, Chuck, we'll talk to you next week. If not, we'll figure something out. Ellis, we'll definitely talk to you. I know you're not going anywhere. And have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Sounds great, man.
Thank you very much. All right.
Thanks.
Chuck Reedy, Ellis Johnson with us here on Sports Talk. Yeah, I knew that that was a hot button topic. And Ellis is exactly right. It's got nothing to do with Dawn Staley. I mean, he just feels like, and accurately so from his perception, that they are not putting enough money into the football program in critical areas. And he's probably right. I mean, he knows a heck of a lot more about it than I do, or, to be quite honest with you, probably many of you out there, as far as where the money needs to go and how you spend it and how you get the best coaches and the best support staff that you need and the number of support staff and all that. Is South Carolina woefully short in those areas with this new? I thought part of the new deal here with the new coaching staff coming in, they were going to beef up in that area. I mean, I've seen where they've beefed up the video core with a lot of people in there, and I guess they've beefed up the recruiting office with more people in there. But have they done enough? Is that the answer for South Carolina? Spend more money in football in certain areas. Are we talking about stadium enhancements? Or are we talking about people? Is the money not being spent on the people and enough people inside to make it work? Something to think about. We'll be back after the top of the hour break.
By the way, before we do what's supposed to happen here, thank you for pushing the button. I thank you. Programming thanks you. America thanks you.
WQXL Columbia, W264DM.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters. President Biden's scaled down Build Back Better bill is getting pushback from the left wing of the Democratic Party. Missouri Congresswoman Cori Bush says she and other lawmakers have long said both the budget and infrastructure bills need to be voted on together.
We need both bills to ride together, and we don't have that right now. Also, I felt a little bamboozled because this was not what I thought was coming today.
Politico is reporting that the House will vote to temporarily reauthorize transportation funding. That's part of the bipartisan infrastructure bill amid the standoff. Meanwhile, Republicans continue to oppose President Biden's $1.75 trillion reconciliation spending plan. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy says it will cost taxpayers too much.
Trillions of dollars in spending, major expansions of government agencies, and even more inflation that will lead to higher costs for all Americans.
As a result of so-called progressives' efforts, there will be no vote on the bipartisan infrastructure bill this evening. Facebook is changing its company name.
The new name is Meta.
The word meta comes from the Greek word meaning beyond.
CEO Mark Zuckerberg says the beyond includes a virtual computer-generated space.
The next platform and medium will be even more immersive, an embodied internet where you're in the experience, not just looking at it. And we call this the metaverse.
Zuckerberg says metaverse isn't here yet.
Some of the basic building blocks are here, though.
Skeptics say Zuckerberg appears to be trying to divert attention away from Facebook's problems. The Real Facebook Oversight Board, a watchdog group, says the name change is meaningless, adding Facebook is destroying our democracy and is the world's leading peddler of disinformation and hate. I'm Ed Donahue.
On Wall Street, the Dow up by 239 points. The Nasdaq rose 212. The S&P 500 advanced 44. Oil up 15 cents to 82.81 a barrel. More at townhall.com.
Thinking about life insurance? What if you could make one free phone call and learn your best price from nearly a dozen highly rated, price-competitive companies? Well, that's exactly what happens when you call SelectQuote Life. For example, George is 40. He was getting sky-high quotes from other companies because he takes meds to control his blood pressure. But when I shopped around, I found him a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $25 a month. I'm SelectQuote agent Dan Savino. And believe me, if SelectQuote isn't shopping for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For a free quote, call 800-523-3771. That's 800-523-3771. 800-523-3771. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Or price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Shops, restaurants, and schools have shut in Moscow in a partial lockdown as Russia battles record COVID deaths and infections.
The majority of shops are closed. Unvaccinated elderly are ordered to stay at home, all of their exemptions. Crucially, Moscow is not the hardest hit as far as hospital beds are going. In many Russian regions, this is not so. A couple of Russian regions said they're running very much to 100% capacity now. And in many regions, the authorities are saying that they will look and see whether this week of paid stay away from work will do anything to curb the infections. And there are lots of doubts that it will in such short space.
The BBC's Oleg Boldarev. GE Appliances announced plans to add more than 1,000 jobs at its sprawling Kentucky operations known as Appliance Park. The company says the job growth is part of a $450 million investment. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Rain sticking around. We'll have a cloudy overnight, low temp of 54. Tomorrow, still a 30% chance of more early showers. Mostly cloudy. It's windy with a high of 65. For Saturday, starting to clear. Breezy conditions, a high of 63. While on Sunday, nice day for Halloween and trick-or-treating. High of 71. I'm Kevin Cohen with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point. Ooh, I like when you press that one.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, catching our breath after another hard-hitting edition of Chalk Talk with Chuck Reedy and Ellis Johnson. Thanks to the two of them for being with us tonight. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, former Charleston Southern football coach Jay Mills will join us. He's got a new book coming out that he wants to share with everybody, and it's a very good book. Of course, he's been writing a lot of books since he left the coaching ranks, and books not just about football, but books that, make you think about a number of things. And he'll be joining us at 7:30 to talk about that. So we look forward to hearing from Coach Jay Mills. Name of his book, Game On, A Coach's Game Plan for Discipleship. It's been published and is now available to the public. So there's a discounted rate for it as well. He'll be telling us all about that when he joins us at the bottom of the hour. We've got recruiting coming up. We're going to get to some of your phone calls, too. I know you want to react to what we just heard from the coaches. We'll get to some phone calls here coming up shortly, so stay in there with us. In the meantime, though, here on Sports Talk, it's Thursday night. It's time for another edition of Morgan on the Move, as we welcome Mike Morgan into Sports Talk to talk about the World Series. He keeps a close watch on the Braves, things happening in college football, and college basketball is back with us next week. Mike, brought to you by Stuart Wingo of Ameris Mortgage, where you can save thousands on a refi or a new mortgage today. That phone number, 803-319-1777. Mike, good to have you with us. And the Braves did what they, obviously a sweep would have been preferred, but they did what they had to do as the visiting team at the very least and get a split to go back to Atlanta for 3 at 1-1. You really couldn't ask for anything more than that.
No, you couldn't. They always talk about a best-of-7 series, whether it's baseball or basketball, that the series really doesn't start till somebody wins on the road, and they took care of that in game 1. Now, the only thing that really concerns me, as well as I'm sure Braves fans across the country, is that you lose Charlie Morton, and that is a significant loss. He was going to be heard from again, one of the starts in Atlanta. Who knows, if it goes 7, you might have seen him do what some pitchers have done in the past in World Series play, go 1, 4, and 7. And he brings you so much valuable experience. Remember, he pitched in the World Series with Tampa and with Houston before Atlanta. So to fracture a bone in your leg on a comebacker, of all the times for that to happen, gee whiz. But that's been the story of Atlanta this entire year. I mean, they keep having bad things happen, and they just keep making the best of the situation. So certainly would not count them out now. You win one on the road, you come back to Atlanta. You can't get a ticket here for these next 3 games. I mean, the prices are insane. We're talking over $1,000 for just a general admission ticket in some cases. I've never seen anything quite like that, but it's going to be an environment we haven't seen in Atlanta in a long, long time. And again, you've got a team that just has a special thing going for it right now, setting up for some great action come tomorrow night.
And the way the thing went down last night, I mean, the game got away from them pretty early. It wasn't a tight game where Snitker had to go to his bullpen and use all his top relievers. He was able to rest the back end of the bullpen, that he would normally use in a tight ball game. That's a bonus for them, is it not?
No, it is. I mean, I think there's multiple reasons why if you're going to lose, you'd rather lose a game like that than, say, a walk-off nail-biter where you've exhausted your bullpen, and psychologically it's devastating to lose those kind of games in general, especially the postseason. Houston jumped all over it last night. Max Fried, that's 2 less than stellar starts back-to-back, which is a little concerning as well. But look, Houston's a great hitting team. We knew this. Altuve is one of the best clutch hitting postseason guys in our lifetime. I think that's 22 postseason home runs for Jose Altuve. That's ridiculous.
Yep. Tied for second most all time.
I mean, that's just insane. And it looks like you could fit him in your back pocket. I mean, he's just this little guy who generates so much bat speed and finds the barrel so well. I have immense respect for him. But anyway, they were going to have at least one game like that. You just hope they don't have many more.
For sure. How do you think the Astros pitching sets up going into Game 3?
Well, I think all along the Braves have an edge on the mound. I think the Braves have an edge in the starting rotation, and I think the Braves have – and I can't believe I'm saying this because for much of the year, people were just relentlessly banging and bashing the Braves bullpen, and sometimes justifiably so. But then all of a sudden, like Matzik has found a rebirth, and Smith has been good. Like they now consider the bullpen a strength, and that was looked at as a weakness for much of the year. So, I mean, if I were to handicap this series in the simplest of terms, Houston has the advantage on paper in hitting, and we saw that last night. And the Braves have a better pitching staff top to bottom. I'm not in love with Houston's pitching. I like it. I don't love it. And if you had Fried pitching the way he's capable of course, if you had a healthy Charlie Morton. But overall, I give a slight edge on the mound to the Braves.
What about the change now to the National League rules? And obviously, does that, in your experience, when you start playing quote-unquote National League rules, is that to the advantage of the National League team?
Always has been, always will be. And I say will be, I'm not sure how much longer. A lot of people believe this is the last time we'll ever see a DH, the pitchers hitting and no DH.
Yeah.
I think it's always because, again, I mean, we do have interleague play now. So it's not like the old days where the AL team has a bunch of guys that haven't so much as touched a bat all season long. Most of these guys have had some at-bats here and there. But there's no question. I mean, the NL guys do it on a routine basis. They're more familiar with it. They're generally better at bunting and playing small ball when you need to. So I think it gives you a slight edge.
All right, talking with Mike Morgan. Morgan on the move here on Sports Talk. Let's move over to football. It's an off week for South Carolina, so the Gamecocks need an off week after what happened to them out at Texas A&M. That was just downright ugly and not very nice of Texas A&M to treat them like a rag doll. We'll see how they bounce back next week against Florida. Florida and Georgia in Jacksonville. And Georgia trying to keep it rolling. What are you hearing about the quarterback situation with the Bulldogs, and how much pressure is on Dan Mullen from the Gainesville side of things to get this win over Georgia, knock Georgia's undefeated season off the tracks, so to speak, though Georgia would probably still go on and win the East and play probably Alabama for the championship. But how much pressure is there now building on Dan Mullen the way this season is going?
Well, first off, there's going to be 4 quarterbacks in this game because Jones and Richardson, Bennett, they'll all play, is what I understand. And for the life of me, I don't know why Stetson Bennett is not getting more credit for what he's doing. I realize he's not an NFL guy. Okay, so what? The guy makes plays, and don't call him a game manager for crying out loud. He's not managing games. He's making plays with his feet and his arm. I don't know how Dan Mullen could be on the hot seat. I mean, look, first off, he did something that hadn't been done in a while. He beat Georgia last year when he had a team that was good enough to do it and a quarterback that was good enough to do it. I don't think this year they're good enough to do it. Everybody and their grandmother expects them to lose to Georgia, just like everybody else in the Eastern Division is going to lose to Georgia this year. So is Dan Mullen on the hot seat? You want to bring want to bring Jim McElwain back? You want to bring Will Muschamp back? I don't know what Florida fans are thinking. Like, Dan Mullen is one of the best play callers in college football. He did take him to the SEC championship game last year. He's taken them to 3 New Year's Day bowl games. Be careful what you ask for, because if you fire him, I'm not sure if the next guy is going to be a great hire, because certainly the 2 before that didn't work out real well.
But you know as well as I do, and I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm only going by what I read in the reports from the folks down there.
There's a lot of fans saying it. Yeah.
But but going back to what you just said, you know as well as I do that when ADs make a fire, when they fire somebody like that, they don't really think about what the next guy might do in terms of is he going to be a step up? Is he going to? It's a roll of the dice, no matter who you bring in. I mean, when South Carolina brought in Will Muschamp, of course they had no choice because Steve Spurrier walked away. And they brought in Will Muschamp. He might not have been the first or second choice, but he was ultimately the choice. It was still a roll of the dice, and it didn't work out at the end. Now, same thing with Shane Beamer. You really don't know what you're going to get, regardless of who you bring. There's really maybe you can count on one hand the number of surefire head coaches you could bring in and say with certainty, this guy's going to make us a winner and make us better.
This is a point I've been making. I do it on the podcast, JC and Morgan, all the time. I do it on shows like yours. The art.
There is no other show like ours, by the way, Mike. There is no other show.
That's true. The one and only award-winning Sports Talk.
Yeah.
I talk about this all the time. Like at the end of the day, you can have the so-called best and sharpest AD in the country, whatever that looks like. I'll bet you the majority of your audience or any audience couldn't tell you who the AD of Ole Miss is. It's a former basketball player who I covered in Keith Carter. And then he worked in the fundraising department. Well, he hired Lane Kiffin. Well, that's worked so far. Well, why? Well, Lane Kiffin inherited Matt Corral, first-round quarterback. You think maybe Shane Beamer's record would look a little better if he inherited a first-round quarterback? I mean, that's just it's so much guesswork, and it's all a crapshoot. And everybody thinks that that there's this incredibly brilliant skill in hiring coaches. First off, most schools, they believe that their job is the prettiest. They look in the mirror and they don't see the flaws. They don't see the wrinkles. They think every big name coach wants to go there. And that's just not the reality. And if you look at the recent coaching hires in the SEC, almost every one of them was not the first choice of the AD. The AD got turned down once, twice, 3 times, 4 times before they finally made the hire. And that's the reality of hiring coaches. Like, A, you don't know what's going to work, and B, the guy that you want and covet and that every fan thinks is the golden ticket very often says no. It's a complete crapshoot.
And of course, you often find an agent or two who has his hands on multiple top line coaches playing one against the other just to ATM you and drive the price up.
No question. And that's going to be going on quite a bit with Southern Cal and LSU now open. You can bet there's a whole lot of that going on. The fact that James Franklin just hired Jimmy Sexton just goes right in line with what we're talking about.
Yeah. Basketball next week. We get underway. Exhibition games, regular season in early November now. And the SEC as a basketball league, top to bottom, how do you see it this year? The overall strength of the league, you would put it on a scale of 1 to 10. Where would you put it?
Well, that's an interesting way of putting that question. That's
what I do.
It might be a little early for me to do that. I would tell you that the league is deep again, and that get used to Arkansas and Alabama being really good programs that are here to stay, because they made 2 hires that, again, one was a G League cast-off. The other one was Nate Oates out of Buffalo, who nobody heard of. 2 very uncelebrated hires, and 2 now of the best coaches in the Southeastern Conference. What they have built already in a short amount of time makes me feel like they're not going anywhere. Kentucky is no way going to have a bad year again. They're going to be really good. I think they're the best team in the conference, followed by Arkansas and Alabama. And then you've got other teams who are good. We just don't know how good. We don't know how good Mississippi State is. We don't know how good Florida is. Tennessee, disappointing year last year. But I have confidence in Rick Barnes that he won't have 2 back-to-back poor years. So that, the top half of the league, the top 7-8 teams, it's pretty darn good. It's going to be pretty competitive for sure at that spot. I think the top half of the league can contend with the top half of almost any league in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Mike Morgan with us here on Sports Talk. Mike, back to the Braves for just a moment. Was curious your thoughts. It puzzled me a little bit that they made the decision to pitch Max Fried in Game 2. With the Morton injury, we knew that there were going to be multiple games with bullpen taking the majority of the pitches. Well, Max Fried is one of the better hitters in all of baseball. So personally, I thought it would be advantageous for them to hold him to Game 3, because then you could capitalize on his bat and get a little bit of an advantage over the Astros. So that just puzzled me a little bit. Was curious your thoughts. If we're going to have 2 bullpen games anyways, if it really makes a difference, maybe they'll try to pitch him in Game 5 and get one outing with him with a bat in Atlanta, or just what your thoughts were on that.
Well, I mean, it's a fair point. Fried is definitely one of the better hitting pitchers, but I don't think you make a move on the rotation based on the pitcher getting 3-4 at bats. Fried has been, second half of the year, he had a sub-2 ERA, and that included postseason. I don't think you back him up just so he gets to hit at home. I think you had to go with your top 2 guys, and then if it doesn't work out, which clearly it didn't last night for Fried, you hope that he's now able to go on short days rest and be much more effective the next time out.
All right, Mike. Hey, you're moving up to the NFL this weekend, huh?
Yeah, really excited doing some guy named Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Bucks taking on the Saints in New Orleans. So I'm leaving for New Orleans on Saturday, calling the game Sunday on national radio, Compass Radio, with one Brian Baldinger, who ironically enough, I used to work with on Fox TV doing college football.
Mm-hmm.
But it's my first NFL game on radio in, I think, 4 or 5 years. And actually one of the best matchups, I think it's the Fox TV premiere matchup, one of the best matchups of the weekend on the slate. So got 2 good teams. And the fact that I can say one day I can tell your grandchildren, Phil Cornbluth, not sure if I'm going to have any, I can tell them that I called a Tom Brady touchdown pass. That'd be a nice bucket list item to complete if it happens on Sunday.
Well, what I'll do is I will text my grandkids and have them tune in so they can actually listen to it.
I like it. Yeah. I like that very much. That'd be fantastic.
Since you're going to the Caesars Superdome, make sure you tell the people at Caesars to give you your money back from, all those trips to Vegas that they took from you, that they owe you. They owe you.
They
greatly.
do owe me.
Yeah.
The only, you know the situation. The only casino I've ever won money in was the Harrah's in Council Bluffs, Iowa. The years that we carpooled from the World Series in Omaha.
Yes.
That's the only time I've ever won money gambling, other than, here and there, small potato stuff, but actual heavy stakes, which for me is like, $300, $400, was at Harrah's in Council Bluffs, Iowa. So I'm not going to gamble again, at least nothing heavy, until I get back to Council Bluffs.
There you go. Well, we're all hoping somebody's going to get us back to the World Series here one day, whether it's Coastal or Clemson or somebody. PC, South Carolina.
Happen.
Somebody.
Oh, it'll happen.
All right, my man. Enjoy New Orleans, and thank you. We'll talk to you next week.
Okay, guys. Enjoyed it.
Always a pleasure. Mike Morgan with us here on Sports Talk with his great insight, brought to you by Stuart Wingo of Ameris Mortgage. We are behind for breaks, and we want you to listen to our great sponsors coming up here in just a moment on Sports Talk. May have a time for a couple of phone calls. We got recruiting coming up, a visit from Coach Jay Mills as well at the bottom of the hour. Looking forward to having him with us. They're about to kick off across the way from me, and maybe 10 minutes or so. Troy and Coastal a 17-point favorite, and we're back in just a moment here on Sports Talk from Coastal.
Every day, you make choices that protect your family. At Farm Bureau Insurance, we're here to help make some of those choices easier. Your local Farm Bureau insurance agent is on hand to provide the reassurance and protection you need. Call today for your free no-obligation review for auto, home, and life insurance that's custom-tailored just for you.
Call Buddy Bridges in Lawrence County at 864-923-2174, covering Lawrence, Clinton, Joanna, and the shores of Lake Greenwood.
South Carolina Farm Bureau Mutual Insurance Company, Southern Farm Bureau Casualty Insurance Company, Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company, Jackson, Mississippi.
Hi, I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus, and I've got a great gift idea that requires zero shopping. the gift of college savings. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan makes it easy. Grandparents, friends, and family can all contribute to a Future Scholar account and know that they're providing a gift that will last a lifetime. If you're looking for the perfect gift this holiday season, look no further. Learn more about the smart, easy way to save and give this holiday season at futurescholar.com.
Save like a pro with Founders Federal Credit Union. Founders Loyalty Select account gives you the opportunity to grow your savings at our best rate yet. Fund your account through your favorite Loyalty Select product to get savings today. Not a member yet? Visit relaxjoinfounders.com or one of our more than 30 office locations to see if you qualify for membership. Services require credit evaluation. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
Life, it has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit playresponsiblysc.com.
Got time for a couple of phone calls before the bottom of the hour break, and let's do that. We got recruiting coming up, and Jay Mills coming up as well. Let's go to Hank in Columbia. Been hanging on for a while. We appreciate that. Hank, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Hadn't busted your chops lately, but I'm going to have to do it tonight.
Oh, let's see who can do the busting. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. You got on Vern about the picks from Brown, but a couple of weeks ago, I heard when what was it, Nolan threw an interception, there was a receiver that forgot to break, and you gave credit for the fact that that interception happened that way. On the two interceptions with Brown, you got to remember now, one, Beamer said they told him to throw it up and give the receiver a chance to make a play in the end zone. So, but you can still give it to him. You can say he didn't throw it far enough. But the second one, the receiver, remember the guy bobbled the ball up in the air. You remember the guy hit it? He hit the ball. He knocked it up in the air. The A&M guy came running about 10 feet, and it was there, and he just grabbed it.
Yeah, listen, I'm all for Jason Brown getting a shot. I mean, I'm all for it.
I'm just talking about those picks now.
Yeah.
We got to be fair on the picks when it's a different guy.
I believe in what I said about Nolan's pick is I'm repeating what the coach has said when they analyzed it. They said he threw the ball, the guy broke the wrong way. So I'm just repeating what they said.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
I'm repeating what Beamer said Saturday.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
The one in the end zone, he said he threw it up. It was supposed to be a 50-50 ball, hoping that guy can make a play.
Yeah.
The one where the receiver catches it almost and throws it up in the air, and it falls in the A&M hand. I don't put it on him.
Yeah.
That's one thing. But then this next thing, Corn. Now, Corn, when Dawn Staley got here, she was making $600,000, of which $400,000 was going back to her school in Temple for the payout. So she's making a little over $200,000. So back then, nobody could complain about where all that extra money was going. But the football team was in the same state of affairs that it is now. They got good when Dawn started to get good. Her salary moved a little bit, but when Spurrier was doing real well, which I like Spurrier, he never said, you got to unpay the basketball coach to make the football coach program good.
Well, I don't think Ellis is not saying, and I'm not suggesting that they unpay her.
I agree with Ellis.
Yeah, he's just like, okay, but you got to pay the football. You got to spend what is absolutely necessary to make football successful. And they got by with it. Look, listen, they got by with it with Spurrier. You know, Spurrier was grossly underpaid, and he was okay with it. He was like, pay my assistants more.
Exactly.
And he was fine with it. I don't listen, and I'm not smart enough, and I don't know enough. Ellis would, I wouldn't, to tell you where they need to put the money to get better, to compete better in the SEC. I don't, is it more coaches? Is it more support staff? Is it greater salaries? I don't know.
Well, Torn, I think it goes to this. the coaches who are in charge have to ask or demand for whatever money they want. If you go back, if you think about it, when Muschamp was here, he had analysts on top of analysts and all these people up in the building. And he increased all this recruiting, people coming in the building, most of them coming from Georgia, but he brought them on in there. When Shane came in, he didn't ask for as much as that. Muschamp could have asked for all he wanted in recruiting, but remember, Muschamp's whole thing was he liked the 4-hour radius of recruiting. He didn't like going nationally. And so I always feel like you got to use real data when you're quantifying these things. Everybody makes a big deal about that 42%, but remember, the university charges all their recruiting planes back to the university and not the athletic department.
All right, we got to go. I appreciate your phone call. You know a hell of a lot more about that than I do. I appreciate your phone call. We'll be back after the bottom of the hour break.
On-Point weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Rain sticking around. We'll have a cloudy overnight, low temp of 54. Tomorrow, still a 30% chance of more early showers. Mostly cloudy. It's windy with a high of 65. For Saturday, starting to clear. Breezy conditions, a high of 63. While on Sunday, nice day for Halloween and trick-or-treating. High of 71. I'm Kevin Cohen with your on-point local weather.
Are you looking for free checking and free savings? Dave Ramsey here, telling you to go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank that's so big they lose the ability to treat you like a human being. At Palmetto Citizens, you're not just a number, you're a member. Join today at any of their 14 locations or at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The government has reported that the number of U.S. traffic deaths in the first half of 2021 hit 20,160, the highest first half total since 2006. The estimated number was 18.4% higher than the first half of last year. That prompted Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg to call the deaths an unacceptable crisis. The department includes the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. That organization announced that it will develop a national strategy for steps to save lives on the roads. On Wall Street, a good day as the Dow is up by 239 points to 35,730. The Nasdaq rose 212. The S&P 500 advanced 44. More details at srnnews.com.
Listen. Oh, man, storm's coming. I need to be prepared. Where's my phone? Oh, there it is. All right, here's the Dominion Energy app with Face ID, and I am ready to go. That's right, folks. If those South Carolina storms hit, the new Dominion Energy mobile app is a must-have. So easy to use and convenient to have around. It's not just for power outages. With this app, you have instant access to all of your energy usage, too. Pretty cool stuff. Take it from me. Be prepared this season and download it today.
Hi, this is Marcia Kleiman.
And I'm Karen Pickard. We're your hosts for the Positive Point on Aging.
We'll talk about aging gracefully and senior care every Tuesday morning from 8:30 to 9 o'clock a.m.
Join us right here on The Point for the Positive Point on Aging.
Brought to you by Oakley Village of Lexington.
Deer season is here and we all want to be successful, but our safety should come first.
A simple way to stay safe is to wear Blaze Orange as you walk to and from your stand.
Probably the best way to stay safe is to wear a safety harness.
Put it on, hook it up to your lifeline, and let the tree keep you safe from a fall during your hunt.
Lastly, always use your binoculars and not your rifle scope to look at and identify things while you're deer hunting. Woods and Water, South Carolina, your host Roger and Taylor Metz want you to be around to enjoy many deer seasons to come.
Just remember, the accident you might prevent, the life you might save, just might be your own.
Here are your 3 grilled double cheeseburgers. Enjoy your Sonic.
So what came first, the grilled cheese or the burger?
So you know the burger had to come first. You go back hundreds of years. Oh, cheese has been around hundreds of years too.
Exactly. What do you get when you combine a grilled cheese with a double cheeseburger? The new Sonic Grilled Double Cheeseburger, made with 100% pure seasoned beef and Texas toast. Try one half price in the app.
Wow, this is a good debate.
Online only or in the Sonic app. Add-ons extra. Limit 1. Not good with other offers. Limited time only at participating Sonic drive-ins.
Hi, this is Michelle Arnold, your host for Travel Buzz, every Monday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on 100.7 The Point. We're here to make your travel dreams a reality. That's Travel Buzz every Monday morning at 9 on The Point.
Fran Halloran here. What am I looking for when I make a recommendation to you?
I'm looking for integrity, ethics, intentionality. When it comes to your mortgage needs, Greg McCoy from Simplified Mortgage Solutions needs to be your only call. There are plenty of national mortgage companies with fancy names and fancy schemes out there. Don't be fooled. Simplified Mortgage Solutions will meet or beat any national lender's proposal. Greg is local, and I love local. Born and raised in the Midlands of South Carolina, Greg will treat you as if you are his only client as you go through the mortgage process. Simplified Mortgage Solutions specializes in conventional, VA, USDA, and FHA mortgages. They can do it all. I trust them, and so can you. I've worked with Greg for a while now, and everyone I've referred to him has thanked me after the fact. Online at simplifiedmortgagesc.com or just call Simplified Mortgage Solutions at 803-722-6044. That's 803-722-6044 and tell them the Money Coach sent you.
All right, they're about ready for kickoff over at Brooks Stadium here at Coastal Carolina, where we come to you from the baseball press box. We'll walk across the parking lot here after the show to take in what's left of the ball game. It's not raining. It's not raining right now. Folks are still filing in, and they're about to get underway. Troy and Coastal Carolina, just a little bit, Sun Belt action. Chanticleer 17-point favorites here against Troy tonight. A man who knows a thing or two about battling Coastal Carolina, though back then it was at the FCS level. Coach Jay Mills, the former head coach at Charleston Southern, now an author, joining us here on Sports Talk. Got a new book coming out that he wants everybody around the state to know about. Coach, it's good to have you with us once again. Welcome into Sports Talk.
Well, thank you very much, Phil. It's great to be with you. And yes, I know a little bit about Coastal Carolina. In fact, obviously, Jamie Chadwell, having been on my staff for a few years at Charleston Southern, and what a lot of people don't know is one of my other staff members, Bam Hardman, is on the defensive staff at Troy. So I have kind of split loyalties tonight in that game.
What is your reaction to what Coastal has done over the years from your days competing against them at Charleston Southern and just where this program has gone to this point?
You know, I'm really not surprised. I really anticipated they were doing things first class and in the right way. The facilities they built, and they've obviously attracted some good people as well. And Jamie's done an outstanding job there, no question about it. And he has about 4 or 5 of either former assistant coaches from my staff or players on that staff, and they've hired good people. And I'm glad to see it happen. It's excellent for not only the school, the region, the state. It just is. It's been exciting to see, and I think what Jamie's done and they've done offensively is very unique. I think it's cutting edge, and I think it's going to get more attention in the future too, and going to draw any attention drawn to the football program is going to be beneficial for the university and the state as well.
Absolutely. Well, you've been a busy guy since leaving coaching, and one of the things you've gotten into, coaching videos, your Chalk Talk video series, a newsletter called Coaching Points, and now a new book that's come out, Game On, a coach's game plan for discipleship. That's been published, and it's now available to the public. So, again, you've been very, very busy in another way, able to take your football background, knowledge, and skills and work it in a different direction to help people maybe in a different way.
Well, thank you, Phil. I appreciate that. And that is what I felt like I was called to do, is to coach. And I just coach in a different venue is all. And my contention in this book is we're all called to coach. A coach by definition, I think the best definition I heard was by a guy named Kevin Hall, who in the book Aspire said a coach remains something or someone who carries and transports a valued person from where they are to where they'd like to be. And so when I heard that and thought about that, I said, that's everyone, whether it's in our community, it's at a school, whether it's athletics, whether it's a church or a job or in a family, we're all called to coach. And so that's what the book and what the writing's been about, is about coaches transform and coaches transport. We're to transform to be a better version of ourselves, to be, in the case of me being a vocational pastor now, also to be Christ-like in what we do, and at the same point in time, to bring other people with us on this journey.
What was it like to sit down and write a book?
You know, I felt called to do this. Believe it or not, I was driving years ago. I was 28, and I was driving between Tacoma, Washington, and Seattle, and I sensed a call that I was supposed to write a book. And the first thing I say in the acknowledgement section is, I hope everyone doesn't follow my example and wait 30 years to be obedient to what they've been called to do. So, but when I first sat down, I researched and put things together in notes for about 6-7 months. And I saw that blank white page in front of me, that Word document on the laptop. I didn't know if I could write a sentence, let alone, a paragraph, a chapter, and so forth. But it really came to fruition. And I actually am about 85% done with the second book now. I've really enjoyed it. And as you said, to kind of merge the coaching principles, and I do it with biblical support to what I hope will provide advantages for personal and professional growth to those that read it. It's a different way of kind of channeling some of the energies that I think we have in the profession that I was formerly involved in.
Can you give me some examples of responses you've gotten from people who read your Coaching Points newsletter and who view your Chalk Talk video series, the messages, the lessons you're trying to share there, and responses you've gotten from people?
It's been overwhelming. And each step of the way, I feel like my life, the Lord's redirected it. I'm going one direction, then it's from coaching into vocational ministry, and then it's into writing. And I've gotten such positive responses on all those aspects from a number of different people. And I've been very appreciative. I think some of the things that they pointed out to is they've appreciated that it has helped assist them in seeing how they can apply scripture to what they're doing and how it makes it relevant today and relevant in the roles and the positions they've had. And I've had just as many responses from those outside of athletics as in athletics, and female as opposed to male. And so it's been very encouraging, some of the words that I've gotten. And that's what's really kind of they've inspired me to keep going on this journey.
Do you think you've impacted as many people this way as you did as a football coach, where you had a direct impact on the lives of thousands of young men?
The thing I've enjoyed is, and thank you, I hope that I've done that over a 30-year career. That was something that was certainly paramount. I wanted to not just win football games, but our whole person development model that I applied was about improving mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And if you do that, then a byproduct is success in the classroom, in their personal lives, and on the football field. And I think the thing that's brought me great joy is now the age demographic has changed. Now we're talking about primarily probably college age through senior citizens that I've been able to invest time in, and also genders, male and female. And so I don't know if it's been more, but it's certainly been a greater demographic that I've had a chance to have contact with. I just got back from being a keynote speaker at a Power Up Sports Ministry conference in Grand Rapids, and that was a national program, an annual event. So also it's kind of broadened, I think, the geographic area that I've been able to have an influence on. So it's been rewarding and humbling as well.
Absolutely. How can folks get their hands on the new book, and what's the second book going to be about?
The second book, I've already got the title, and I'll just give a hint on that. It's going to be called Upwardly Mobile, and the subtitle is going to be You Can Get There From Here. And all of them are kind of tied into motivation, and of course that's what we do as coaches as well. But this book, Game On, a coach's game plan for discipleship, they can go a couple places. One is just to go to my website. My website is coachjmills.com. Or they can go to Amazon or Barnes & Noble and just look up the word Game On by Jay Mills, and it'll pop up. It's available paperback, hardcover, also ebook, and soon, within the next couple of weeks, it'll be an audiobook as well.
Well, that sounds fantastic. It's always great talking to you. We had great conversations when I would come down for our football tour through Charleston Southern back in the day. That place has changed a little bit, too. They continue to grow, and try to be as good as they can be at their level. And I think Coach Denson's doing an excellent job there. And it's always great to talk to you and hear what you've got going on, and always appreciate you reaching out to us.
Well, thank you, Phil. And I agree with you. Jeff Barber, athletic director there. I've been friends with Jeff for a number of years, and I think the sky's the limit there, and I'm really excited for them in all aspects. And one last thing I'd mention is I do offer some free resources too, and that's the Coaching Points newsletter you mentioned, and the Chalk Talk videos, and that's about as easy as it gets to subscribe. They just text CJM to the short code 33777 and automatically begin receiving those resources. But thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to visit with you. And if there's some of the things that I miss from the coaching profession, one of them would be the relationship I have with individuals such as you. I appreciate what you do for the entire state and athletics, and what you do off the air as well too. You're credit to that entire state. So thank you, Phil.
Thank you, Coach. Always a pleasure. And we'll talk to you again. Anytime we can help you out, you let me know.
Look forward to it. God
yes,
bless.
sir.
Take care.
Thank you. All right, Jay Mills. And you heard about his book and how to get the video and how to get the newsletter. I get both of them. They come to me. You can get them just as easily as well. So go to his website, always an easy way to get the information, and you'll be able to get it right to your email box. So we appreciate the coach for being on with us tonight right here on Sports Talk. If you want to reach out to him again directly, coach at coachjmills.com, coach at coachjmills.com. We're going to hit our last break here on Sports Talk. We'll come back and give you the recruiting report and finish it up with some final phone calls tonight. Troy and Coastal, they've exchanged punts to open the game, and now Troy has the football, and they are in the red zone. They're at about the 11-yard line of the Chanticleers here in the first quarter at Brooks Stadium. We're back in a moment. Don't go away.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I love sports, and I've helped people for over 30 years. Contact me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com when the insurance company won't pay your claim or you have complicated issues. Some other business causes your business to lose money, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. When you lose a relative and find out you got cut out of a will or don't get what was promised. When you have serious injury, like from a wreck or mishap or on the job, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
Your home is where your memories live. It's where you laugh and where you love. We understand the importance of the valuables under your roof, tangible and intangible alike. So no matter what's around the corner, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call me, Alex Satterfield, at 803-749-9171 for all of your Midlands insurance needs.
Hey folks, mortgage rates have dipped to their lowest levels in recent history, and with home values up in many areas, now may be the perfect time to refinance your home. Whether you're looking to lower your monthly payments, free up cash for home improvements, or just pay off your home faster, a quick call to the one and only Stuart Wingo of Ameris Bank could save you money. If you're looking for competitive rates and exceptional service, call Stuart Wingo. 803-319-1777. That's 803-319-1777. You will save money just like I have so many times over the years. You can also visit him, amerisbank.com/Stuart Wingo. Stuart Wingo, the man with the plan for all your mortgage needs.
In Columbia, South Carolina, game days are our specialty. Whether you're watching the game from inside the stadium or from the big screen at your favorite local spot, the energy remains the same. Craft the perfect fall Saturday in a city where there is plenty of action on and off the field. From tubing and kayaking to Soda City to rooftop restaurants and plenty barbecue. We're ready when you are. Plan your weekend at experiencecolumbiasc.com.
The Southeastern Institute of Manufacturing and Technology, known as SIMT, is ready to meet your 3D printing, machining, and social media listening needs. Our list of clients includes business and industrial partners from around the state, the nation, and the globe. In addition, we are providing social media listening services to a variety of businesses and educational institutions, from large companies to law firms to small rural school districts. The SIMT also rents space for training, conferences, and trade shows. Catering services are available for events being held at the SIMT. We are dedicated to customer service and look forward to serving you. Check us out on the web at simt.com to see a full list of our manufacturing services, or give us a call at 843-413-2740.
Parents ask, what's the best way to save for college? I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus, and my answer is always open a Future Scholar 529 college savings account. It's easy. You can get started online with any amount. It's flexible to adapt to your child's college dreams. And you can deduct 100% of your contributions from the South Carolina state tax return. So what are you waiting for? Go to futurescholar.com and see why it's the smart, easy way to save for college. futurescholar.com.
All South Carolinians are now eligible for the COVID-19 vaccines. For help finding a vaccine location in your area, visit scdheck.gov/vaxlocator or call 1-866-365-8110. COVID-19 vaccines are free and don't require ID or insurance. Visit scdheck.gov/vaxlocator or call 1-866-365-8110 to find a vaccine location near you.
Founders is offering a low-rate mortgage with up to $4,000 in closing costs to full-time hospital employees, honoring your frontline efforts against COVID-19. With no PMI, no origination fee, and no limit on the loan amount, you can't go wrong. Visit founders.com/HEC and apply for your hospital employee choice mortgage today. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply. Institution NMLS identifier number 410646. Founders is an equal housing lender and is federally insured by the NCUA.
Recruiting in just a second. Let me update the football game across the way. Troy has taken a 7-0 lead on Coastal Carolina. Told you they were inside the red zone. They knocked it in, a little pass for the touchdown. It was a drive of 4 plays, 79 yards, took 56 seconds off the clock, and it was an 11-yard touchdown pass by quarterback Gunnar Watson. You heard Chris talking about him. And, of course, if you saw South Carolina, Troy, you knew something about him as well. It's a good little quarterback. And so Troy has taken the early 7-0 lead on Coastal. Coastal needs to shake it up here at home and get going again. They don't want to see that loss to Appalachian State morph into a 2-game losing streak. All right, recruiting now brought to you by Seawells. And, of course, tomorrow is a fabulous Friday for the daily luncheon buffet at Seawells. And, Pat, what's on the menu for Friday at Seawells from 11 to 2?
Tomorrow, as you mentioned, it will be a roast beef Friday with the carved roasted sirloin of beef with gravy, as well as southern fried chicken and fried flounder, as well as an assortment of mostly local vegetables.
Oh, man, they're going nuts over there tomorrow.
They are. And don't forget, they also have great desserts. If you like banana pudding, they usually have a couple different pies to choose between. It's good stuff.
It is, absolutely. And the best in the catering business, of course, that is Seawells. Their phone number, 803-771-7385, 1125 Rosewood Drive is the location. In recruiting, Antonio Williams of Dutch Fork, Adam Randall of Myrtle Beach are widely regarded as the state's 2 top wide receivers in the 22 class, but the state's leading receiver, according to stats compiled by the High School Sports Report, is DJ Black, 6'2", 185 of Chapman. Thus far this season, 72 catches, 1,358 yards, and 17 touchdowns. That's 24 more catches than Williams, though in fairness, Williams only plays about half the game since the games are mostly blowouts. He's the state's second leading receiver. However, Black does not have the gaudy offers to match those gaudy numbers. Army, Navy, and Howard is only 3 at this point. He's hoping that'll change, especially with USC showing legitimate interest. He was in as a fan for the Kentucky game, and then receivers coach Justin Stepp invited him for the Vanderbilt game as a recruit. He said it was amazing, and they told him Stepp did. He's been watching him for a while. He's going to be at his game Friday, according to Black, from what he said Stepp told him. He'll be at his game Friday. And so he's hoping that he can show Stepp that he is worthy of an offer to play for an SEC school. Said it would mean everything for him because he grew up watching South Carolina. Of course, USC has had Toby Cates and Debo Samuel come out of Chapman High School. And Black will play in the Touchstone Energy Cooperative's North-South All-Star game and would love the chance to follow those other Chapman Panthers to USC. Meantime, another USC receiver target, Dane Key of Lexington, Kentucky, tonight, announced for Kentucky. No big surprise. He's a legacy there. Of course, he lives about 10 minutes from the campus. 2024 center Walt Claire Flynn Jr. of Loganville, Georgia, plans to be at Clemson Saturday. USC offered 2024 receiver defensive back Tyseer Denmark of Philadelphia. Also, USC offered 2024 receiver Micah Gilbert, 6'4", 193 of Charlotte. 2024 quarterback Jaden Davis of Catawba Ridge will be at Ohio State this weekend. 2024 quarterback Jaden Bradford of Chapin plans to be at NC State. In what might be a first, Vegas has issued odds on the Arch Manning recruitment. They have placed the odds of him going to Texas at 3-1. Georgia is next, 7-2. Alabama is 4-1. Ole Miss 9-2. LSU is 5-1. Clemson, where he visits this weekend, is 11-2, and SMU is 12-1. Here we go. It's just getting crazier by the day. Let's have odds on where high school kids are going to go to college. And 2024 right-hander Anthony Wilkie, 6'5", 205 out of Gainesville, Florida, he commits to Clemson. There you go with recruiting tonight, brought to you by Seawells. We got time to squeeze in a call, maybe two, in our final minutes tonight. So let's go to Robert in Columbia. Has been waiting. We appreciate that. Robert, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you? Hello, Mr. Robert. Do we have Robert? While we wait on Robert.
Let me try him again real fast.
All right, I'm going to tell you about the Butterfield Bermuda Championship taking place in Bermuda, the PGA Tour stop, where your leader is Brandon Hagee after a 65 and Chad Ramey with a 65, and Vincent Whaley is in at 66. That's the top of the leaderboard. Not too many locals in this one. Scott Brown, an even par 71. Ben Martin, even par 71. Jonathan Bird, plus 172. Hello, Two Gloves, Tommy Gainey, plus 576. And Matt Neesmith, 6 over 77. How are we looking there, Pat?
We lost Robert. Robert, if you're here, if you're listening, if you can call back quick, you'll get right on. If not, try us tomorrow.
Try us tomorrow. Tomorrow will be a football Friday, a Founders Federal Football Friday. Things aren't looking real nifty for Coastal Carolina right now. So their drive a moment ago did not end well for them. It ended up with, another punt. And now Troy has the football. They're on the move again. They're inside the Coastal Carolina 40, pending a flag here coming up. So Troy, with the early momentum in this one already, Troy with 115 total yards in the first 5 minutes, 115 total yards to 11 for Coastal Carolina. Not exactly. I wonder how much of this is the hangover from Appalachian State. You know, you lose that first game to a big rival on the road, even though you had 8 days, it can take you a little while to get over it. Maybe that's a bit of the case that's going on here. So anyway, tomorrow is a Founders Federal Football Friday, and we will have, of course, plenty of football talk for you, plenty of picks leading up to the games coming up Friday night. David Shelton will preview, and we'll have our picks for you from our esteemed Sports Talk panel of non-experts. And we'll have Jeff Owens with us, NASCAR, and George Bryan on golf with us as well. Let's see if there's anything else I wanted to mention here before we say goodbye for tonight. And looks like we pretty much covered everything. I'm checking to see. Oh, Gary Blair, Texas A&M women's basketball coach, going to retire after this season. Story that came out last night. Very, very successful coach there at Texas A&M. Does South Carolina have to keep an eye on Dawn Staley with that, knowing how much money Texas A&M likes to throw at coaches? Yeah, I'm not sure that with what South Carolina is now paying Dawn Staley, that they have to worry about anything like that. But whenever Texas A&M goes hunting for a major coach, and I guess they look at their women's basketball program as major, they have no real limits as to how much they will spend. So you always have to be a little bit nervous about that, I would say. Okay, that's going to do it. I want to thank the folks here at Coastal Carolina for taking care of us and setting us up and allowing us to use their facilities. Always enjoy being here for ball games, though I know right now, not a happy time over at Brooks as they're down 7-0, and Troy is once again inside the red zone. We'll have post-game coverage on our website, and we'll see you tomorrow night.
Someone will be right with you.